right, let's go into the next discussion now. Nigerian bank directors will now lose their jobs over the amount of non-performing loans in their banks. A new code of corporate governance approved by the Central Bank of Nigeria has stipulated.
Now, reports indicate that banks' assets have depreciated in the last 3 years, with provisions for non-performing loans at just 857 billion naira due to the drop in crude oil prices. Now, the Nigeria Deposit Corporation, NDIC, says bank directors are liable for 40% of bad loans in banks. Now, NPLs are now in excess of 20%. That's 15% higher than the 5% regulatory threshold.
Now, drop in global oil price and the recession that plagued Nigeria adversely affected bank borrowers' ability to pay back loans, resulting in bad debt. And the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has spent over 3 trillion naira to bail out distressed banks in the last 8 years. All right, with us in the studio is the National President of Nigeria Union of Banks and Insurance, Danjuma Musa. Danjuma, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now,
good morning.
Make us understand in the first place. When they say bad loans, it could be a term in banking or a terminology in that regard, but can you break it down for us to even understand when does a loan become bad?
Now, loan becomes bad over a period of time when somebody goes to bank to borrow money. Borrowing in the sense that after borrowing, the intention was to do business. Now, if the business is not moving and there's a breakdown in doing that business and all of that, the person is unable to pay back the loan and all of that over the period of time. Now, the bank would tag that loan as a bad loan because looking at the procedure of collecting that loan, definitely there must be a collateral given by the lender himself. Now, by the time you give a collateral, and then at the tail end of it, the bank was unable, to sell that property that was given as a collateral. And then even at the point of sales, now they were unable to recover the full amount that was collected by the individual. That means at the tail end of it, they don't have anywhere to fall back on after the sales of that property. That is to say, the loan has gone bad.
Okay, now, and a huge chunk of these bad loans.
Now, when you look at...
bank directors are responsible.
So
these bank directors who take these loans, do they provide collateral? How exactly is it possible that 40% of non-performing loans is, bank directors are responsible for it?
What they actually do in the bank, yes, especially the captains of banks. Yes. I think NDIC is very, very correct because the bank directors collect loan in the name of companies, outside the bank. Now, using, let's say, company A to say, okay, the company has applied for a loan, knowing fully well that is the bank director that is actually applying for the loan.
That is fronting that.
Yes. So they just project a company for them to now get the loan. You can remember back then, over 1 or 2 years now, in Skybank, something like that happened, where all the directors will have to lay off and all of that. Now, it happened in every bank, in all the banks, virtually all the banks. It happens because they project a company for them to, apply for a loan, knowing fully well they are the one behind.
Yeah, but in fronting those kind of companies, aren't there processes to know the pedigree of the company that is being fronted, whether it has track record of doing business over time?
It's a party issue.
Oh.
Yeah, as a union, I will tell you it's a party issue. Because if I know you as an MD of a company, or if I am the one, trying to get a loan from the bank, I control every asset and liabilities of the bank. So I know how to go about it. Definitely, after the application of those loans, I go to my ED, come on, approve this. As an MD, you wouldn't say no.
Unsecured loans?
Unsecured loans. Wow. That is what is going on in
now. The CBN has come up with this code of corporate governance in place. What do we know about it? What exactly is it supposed to achieve?
Yeah, it's to further curtail the excesses of the bank, the captains of the banks, the MDs, the directors, and all of that. Is to curtail their activities to see how best they can put a control in place. so that all these bad loans that they are mentioning will also be checkmate. Who exactly is behind the loan? Who is taking these loans? And all of that.
So is that going to be the main game changer now?
Yeah, I think for now, you know, it's a gradual process. Whenever a policy is coming in place, when you look at the process of, you know, where we are now in the banking sector, ranging from merger and acquisition and all of that. Now, the STA policy came to play in the banking sector. Now, you will also look at the introduction of cashless policy and all of that. You know, it's a gradual process. People will get used to it.
Okay, so now, in the midst of all of the recession, thankfully we're out of recession now, at least technically.
Partially.
Partially. Nothing happened to Nigerian banks. And then you have in the mix this huge non-performing loans. About how much? About 6
point something.
6 point something
Yeah.
trillion?
Trillion, yeah.
That is a huge, that's
That's
almost
a
the
very
national,
huge. That's
almost the
the
national,
budget. Sure.
almost the national
Sure.
budget. What are there any implications at all for Nigerian banks?
Very, very.
Or are they still,
Gidigba.
If you look at the operation of the banks now, honestly, you know, the operation is somehow dicey.
how?
Dicey in the sense that banks are no longer strong the way they used to be. Formerly, ordinarily, when you look at the operation of banks, they have left their core banking operation and moved into government funds. Now, when government came up with the issue of TSA,
Yeah.
you know, they withdraw all their funds. Now, going back to the original practice of banking becomes very difficult.
What do banks even do? like you have, you know, some stickers say, what do lawyers do?
That is true.
What do banks do?
Yeah.
Other than collect my money, put it in their, you know,
the coffers,
in their
and then,
coffers, and
come
then when
out
I
in-
need a loan, they tell me to go and bring my, you know.
No, recently there is this introduction of when they said when you make deposit, they charge you some certain amount, and it's going on now. You make withdrawals to some certain extent, they charge you some percentage.
No, when it comes to withdrawal,
Yes.
even transfer, whatever, there are charges to all of those. It is the deposit that I didn't understand.
That is just it. Because the last time I challenged that process, and I said, how can I, as an individual, take my money to a bank, and then at the tail end of it, you say, you are charging me for bringing my money to you. And at the tail end of it, you use that same money to do business.
When the people are supposed to be encouraged, because we're talking of so many people who are still unbanked Nigerians, to bring them back,
Now,
to bring them into the net.
even going back to these bad loans. Now, these bad loans, who are behind those bad loans? That is why NDIC actually pinpoint to say these bad loans are caused by the captains of banks. Yes, definitely. Most of them will go as soon as possible with the new policy that is in place now. Now, when you begin to ask yourself, are the general public, you know, benefiting from those loans? The answer is no. How many businessmen have gone to bank to say, I need loan to do so business?
And
Looking at
it's
the
given.
particular rate, commercial rate
Yeah.
being given to the general public now. Commercial rate, when you go to bank to obtain a loan, what they will give you is at the rate of 28–30%. Now you end up paying double of what you collected from the bank.
Exactly.
Now people are even shying away from collecting loans from the bank. Now bank are even doing promo. Come to my bank and do, you know,
There's
get
a
a loan
bonanza,
and all of
exactly.
that. There's a
And
bonus allowed,
bonuses
but
and
people
so
are no
on.
longer interested. Why? Because if I collect that loan, go back, do business, I get my money and then put it back into your bank, you charge me for it.
Exactly.
So what's the future of Nigerian banks in all of this?
Yeah, it's one of those things that the CBN is trying to come up with this policy, the new policy that is in place now. Now, but if at all the captains of bank would adhere strictly to this policy, definitely things are going to get better, because this checkmating issue needs to come in place.
All right, now you talked about banks not being as strong as they used to be after TSA and all of that. Is it likely that going forward we're going to see some mergers of some banks again?
Very well, very well. Very well, as soon as possible. Because I know some of those banks that are even calling to say, okay, fine, this is what we intend doing in terms of, you know, redundancy and all of that. And we said, no, what are the issues? Bring it to the table. Let's look at it. as union, as workers' representative, so that we will now discuss a way forward and all of that. But some of them are shying away. Just of recent, we reported the matter of, you know, the way and manner banks employ workers and all of that to the National Assembly. Now, when you look at the process, it's even faulty.
Okay.
Workers are no longer having guarantee in their place of work. Now, if you employ me as a contract staff, and at the tail end of it, I know very well that if I'm leaving your organization, I'm not going to go with the
You're not entitled to anything.
I'm not entitled to anything. Rather, they will say, I'm giving you 1 month in lieu of notice. That means you stand the risk of losing some of your assets to such workers. Banks are running at loss now with the introduction of you know, this outsourcing of staffs and all of that. But they won't come out to say it.
So you're saying that the present 23 or so commercial banks may be
there's every possibility that's going to be
maybe about 10 or so banks in Nigeria. Well, unfortunately, we'll have to.
But is that good for Nigeria? Or is bad for the? Is it good for the economy or bad for the economy?
It's good. It's good in the sense that you know, when they later, you know, reduce in size. You know, gone are those days when you have 89 banks and all of that. You don't know where to, you know, somebody will come and say, I'm the owner of the bank, and then he do whatsoever. You know, we know what happened to Society Generale.
Exactly.
We know what happened to Savannah and all of that.
All states just
now, at the tail end of it, there will be, you know, proper monitoring when you have less banks in place.
Okay. Yeah. Danjuma Musa, National President, Nigeria Union of Banks and Insurance, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.